Greetings, hypnotic friends worldwide. This is the Brain Software Podcast, episode 158, coming to you from the Hypnotic World Epicenter, Toronto, Canada. I'm Chris Thompson, and today, Mike Mandel and I will discuss our brand new hypnosis track, which you can get for free. It's called The Journey to the Castle. And we'll also be chatting about an awesome book that's all about street hypnosis. So stay tuned.
I would first of all really like to acknowledge our patron for his largesse. I'm speaking, of course, of Sir Lanyard Ballwater, who provided the staples for this evening's feast, as well as the wire, the rolls of brown paper, and the barrel of malt vinegar that is quite delicious. Thus we begin, and I greet all of you wonderful young people, Henry Kissinger, Howard Thurston, Chungling Su, Corrado Savannah, and of course, Larry Gomez. Once in every man's life, he finds himself in a burning shopping mall with a sold-out food court and about 200 mosquitoes all out for blood. In my own case, as I fled from the burgeoning flames, I was eating a wonderful grilled cheese sandwich, like we used to have in the war, with red Leicester and Wensleydale cheese, as well as a layer of really crisp Canadian bacon. Actually, it wasn't just good, it was really authentic, just the way we used to make them in the trenches. You start with a bottle of malt vinegar and some strips of corrugated cardboard, and then you add brown paper for flavoring.
Oh, shut up!
Whatever happened to those old cardboard and vinegar sandwiches we used to know and love?
These are days of victory! So let's welcome to the hypnotic Ranahuza, a man of glanative persuasion, our own mesmeric magician, the mathematically challenged Mike Mandel.
Yes, Christopher, here we go yet again. What a blast, man.
Oh, we managed to do that whole intro in just like 3 minutes. This is
in
phenomenal.
One take. That's a miracle.
So we are here, 158. We have two major things that we want to talk about today. Our journey to the castle, the brand new hypnosis recording. It is, Mike, it's your finest work ever.
Buddy, are you just saying that?
No. Okay. I mean, if we have time, I can pull up the comments from our MMHA students who got it first, and they are loving it. It's free. It's coming up in this discussion. And we're also going to talk about a book on street hypnosis by one of our good friends, Sean Michael Andrews. So that's going to be a fascinating discussion. So if you're interested in getting hypnotized, you'll want The Journey to the Castle, totally free. If you're interested in doing hypnosis, you'll want to stick around for our discussion of Sean's book and how it fits into what we teach. And we really like the book, is the short version. All right, so we're going to do Think Tank Words of the Day and map them into the content.
Have checked them. You know, I've been staying up at Whispering Oaks, our cabin on Bob Lake, and I did not bring my Think Tank with me, which is awkward to travel with.
You had to do the online version.
Did the online random word generator. I got 3 words. I've taken the ones it gave us. They are ballot, crystal, and blind.
Oh, well, at least this time you've given me 3 words that I actually know.
I should have said blind just to confuse you.
I'm just thinking back to, like, what was the animal one? Alpaca or something?
Alpaca.
Going, what the heck is an
alopecia?
Yeah. So, all right, ballot.
All right, man.
Well, it's, voting season's coming up in the United States, which is a very hotly contested topic.
Let's not get all political.
So ballot, I suppose, my immediate impression is ballot is about casting a vote. It is about putting your money where your mouth is.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's good. So how do people apply that to their daily life? That's an interesting way of going about it.
How do you apply that to your daily life? What is it that you say you care about and are interested in, and what are you actually doing?
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Yeah. So what are you walking the talk?
It's funny where these go. Like,
I'll tell you, man, I get a funny one right away. You say ballot. I turned it to ballad. So now I'm thinking of a song that's a ballad, tells a story. And what is the story of your life? Like, is someone else telling the story of your life, or are you in control? Are you telling the story of your own life?
I like how you just took the word, decided you didn't like it, changed it to a different word altogether and used that.
Phonological ambiguity, right?
No,
Sounded like
kidding.
it.
We've never done that before, but that makes sense. It's what does it make you think of? And
like
just
that guy, Larigo, that Italian guy.
Who?
Larry Gomez.
Oh, Larry Gomez.
Larry Gomez.
I love it.
The man who might be Albanian.
So the idea of the think tank, as a reminder, is take the word, what does it make you think of, and apply it unconsciously
Stepping
later on
stones.
to your problem, or in this case, to our discussion on the podcast. So that's ballot. Crystal.
Okay. Well, crystal meth.
Crystal. Heisenberg.
Yeah.
Mike just finally watched Breaking Bad. For
Well,
those
finally, it's like, I've been at the cabin for a month. It's not
I know.
finally.
Well, it's about a 6-year-old, 7-year-old,
Yeah,
8-year-old
something like that.
show, and you discovered it and loved it, and that caused me to rewatch it. And our friend Michael C. Anthony, he watched the whole thing. You said 3 times or something?
Yeah, I think so. He lives a rather shallow life.
I really loved watching it again. So yeah, Crystal makes me think of crystal meth and therefore Breaking Bad, and the fact that there's some really good entertainment out there. What are you going to do that's going to entertain you in a way that's enjoyable and new? I don't know.
Well,
What
you think
else?
entertainment, I think
Podcast is entertaining.
There's a band called the Crystal Method.
Oh,
I haven't
that's
listened
cool.
to them for many years. But then I think of Billy Crystal, who was a remarkably talented
yes.
Comedian.
Which makes me think of Billy Ocean, which makes me think of Billy Joel.
Which makes you think of Ocean Machine.
Yeah.
Devin Townsend, great Canadian. Okay, so we've lost the thread of that one.
totally.
Safely,
All right.
we can say we've lost it. So maybe we need crystal meth to wake up. But just
also,
kidding, though.
crystalline structure. There's some organization in a crystal structure.
Now we're back to
you have molecular order more so than
the crystalline bond. Is that like is that a metallic bond? I'm wondering.
Actually, I don't know.
I don't know. It's certainly not.
Ionic, covalent.
It's not an ionic bond. No,
I'm not sure.
Covalent, where they're sharing an electron. We're just showing how smart we are.
Yeah.
I
know the terms, but I can't.
I'm better at really small physics than chemistry.
Okay,
but,
so crystal could be
blind. What about blind?
Blind.
I think of a duck blind. You hide behind it.
Yeah, you hide behind it.
To shoot ducks, which I'm not really in favor
I'm not
of.
a hunter
Some
of
ducks
anything.
visit us at our cabin, which is quite nice. I'm not a hunter.
Yeah, I'm also thinking about a
Pull
blind.
down the blind.
Pulling down a blind, so it is blocking out the interference. If you don't want too much light, light can be a great source of whatever. I mean, you can see things with light. That's really helpful, right? But sometimes too much of something can overwhelm. And so a blind is useful to reduce what's incoming, which can be interfering with the situation.
Well, that's interesting. And I would have had to be blind to not see the fly that was in my coffee cup here today.
Oh,
remember?
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
He thought I was kidding, but I accused you of putting it there.
Yeah, and then we looked.
It's the old, waiter, there's a dead fly in my
fly.
coffee. Don't worry, you won't drink much, sir.
Must have been stuck in this studio overnight and didn't have any water. All right. So now with that out of the way,
coffee was here overnight.
Let's move on to
Let's talk about the castle.
So I'll give you guys the short version right now. Go to MikeMandel.hypnosis.com/castle. K. Why did I just say K? I'm spelling it wrong.
We'll edit that out.
Castle is how you spell castle, otherwise known as rook in chess. But we're talking about a different sort of castle. We're talking about the castle that you can visit.
Do you know why they're called rooks?
No, I don't.
It was originally came from India. It wasn't a castle; it was an elephant, and that was the word for them.
Isn't that interesting? There you go.
Rooks are the tanks of chess.
Mandel. All right.
Now, okay, so
Journey to the castle.
Why would anybody want to? Let's talk about what this is. Journey to the castle is a fortuitous thing, insofar as I wrote the whole thing, performed it. Chris recorded it for me, and our guy in the Philippines, Ross, who's listening to this now, did all the wonderful sound effects and music that I had chosen. And the difference is, years ago, in the mid-1990s, Michael C. Anthony and I, Michael C. Anthony and I, MCA, he and I put out some amazing different product recordings that we sold after our gigs. And we actually had cassette tapes.
Oh, I remember. I had one of your first cassette tapes.
And then they became
CDs.
And then they became
eventually
downloads.
MP3s.
And MP3s and just streaming and all the stuff. But there were 3 products. We had Stress Relief, with self-hypnosis taught. We had peak performance and memory power, which was essentially Bernard Zufal's method of memorizing things. And something just popped up on the screen, looks really terrible. He's fixed it, ignore it. So these 3 recordings each had 2 tracks. On the one side, there was the teaching conscious track. On the other side, there was the unconscious track, which was hypnosis.
That was back when there were cassettes that had side A and side B.
That's right. I guess
that
that's
was
exactly
actually
why.
a nice thing that stood out a lot and still does to this day. Most people who sell or offer any kind of hypnosis recording, it's just the hypnosis recording. But you had the conscious teaching track that came first that I just found so useful and differentiating.
Oh, that's good to know. Thank you. And so people would learn some real skills they could use from NLP New Code and so on. I wasn't an NLP trainer then. I was a master practitioner, but the quality was good. We had them done at Crunch Recording Studios in Toronto, and the quality was really good. People really liked them, but there was this pathway on pale green marble going down into the woods, and you'd hear the crickets coming up
at the beginning of the hypnosis track.
Yeah, and I used a lot of progressive muscle relaxation induction then because I couldn't calibrate. Everybody's listening to it. I had to give sufficient time that people got a result.
Not a horrendously dursative, long progressive muscle
there was some glination to it.
There was a lot of stuff added into it, but it was just long enough, and of course, it worked very well.
It worked. But in each of these, they go down into the forest. There's numerous paths, but one of them led to a beach. One led to something else. I can't remember. I've not listened to them in years.
And one led up a hill. I think.
To a castle. And I said something to the effect of, but that's for other trances and other journeys, whatever. And people started.
That's not the path for you today or something.
Right. And then it started with Till Davey, my pediatrician.
It was a freaking tease. You opened a loop
I left it
and for
open.
25 years did not close it.
Derek Balmer all through, right? And Till Davey, wonderful friend of mine, a pediatrician, a great pediatrician. I was coming back from a speaking engagement in Whistler, British Columbia. I got my rental car. My phone had a message, and I played it. It was Till in Toronto, and he said, "Mike, I want to go to the castle. Why can't I go to the castle?" He was the first.
Now, this is one of many. So we've had dozens and dozens.
Almost 25 years.
Dozens of people emailing us saying, when can I go to the castle? And I said to you, Mike, we need to make another recording.
Yes, you did. You did.
And I think I probably started saying that to you about 2 years ago. We need to do this.
It was probably that long ago.
And we put it on the back burner. And then we finally just decided one day, all right, let's
I said, I'm going to write this damn thing.
Yeah.
So I sat down and wrote it, timed it.
I had nothing to do with the script writing.
Adjusted it, timed it. The difference is there is no dursative progressive muscle relaxation with this. It is a totally different series of inductions built into it.
It's immersive and it is fascinating.
Well, getting some great response. A lot of people are moved to tears at the end.
Oh, I was. And I've heard it before.
Yeah,
I listened to it.
You feel triumphant, right?
Yeah, I think I told you I was going to use this as a power nap. And I did finally yesterday for the first time, because I've listened to it several times as we were going through the editing.
Which is different.
I've never listened to it as a customer kind of thing, like to actually experience it.
Well, the damn thing worked on me. Yeah.
I put the noise canceling headphones that I have, lay down on the couch for the 35 minutes. And at the end, buddy, I was getting chills throughout it too, various points, just unconscious responses. And the end, almost wanted to burst out in happy tears.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
Yeah. And that is all crafted intentionally. There are, without giving away the content, there are layers and layers of metaphor. There's accessing of the visual, the auditory, and the kinesthetic systems. I build in strong emotions a la Freddie Jacquin to anchor in the change. And the beauty of the journey to the castle is it isn't the one that was referred to.
It's not the same castle at all.
It's a better castle.
Yeah.
We don't need our floating down through green marble into it. This is designed differently. Those were designed. This is crafted. I have crafted it from beginning to end. I've chosen every piece of music, every sound effect at the exact moment. We have made this what we wanted it to be. And it's designed with embedded loops and all sorts of things. I'm not going to destroy the structure, but
so let's do a couple of things here. Let's discuss it from two perspectives. So if you are a hypnotist downloading this thing, what's it going to do for you?
Well, you can use it for pretty well any purpose you want, and that's what makes it different. The others were for stress relief or, power napping or peak performance. This you can decide in advance by setting your intention what you want it to do for you. You want to tune up your immune system, you want to be motivated, want to take a power nap, whatever it is, so you can use it more than once for different purposes.
Okay, so that's for a regular user who isn't a hypnotist.
But
what about if you're a hypnotist?
Right, well, a hypnotist is probably going to have difficulty evaluating the content because I've layered it so much that we are, as you know, Chris, getting emails and messages from people in our Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy group who are asking me, can you deconstruct it for us? I'm fading out 5 minutes in. I don't remember it at the end. Because hypnotists tend to be good subjects.
You will pick up, if you're a hypnosis student or user of hypnosis and doer of hypnosis, whatever, I don't want to imply everyone. Well, we're all students. You and I are still students.
Absolutely.
So let's just go with that.
Yes,
if you're
you
a
are.
student of hypnosis, you are going to notice some things, but there's going to be tons that you don't notice. And maybe one day I'll be able to convince you to deconstruct it.
I said I might do it on my birthday next year. People really want me to. People said, oh, we can have a transcript made. I said, you don't need a transcript. I read it from the script I wrote. I've got it.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of I'd like to put my comments in bold or in color off to the side, what I was doing at each point.
Yeah.
And how it works. Now, that's interesting, Chris, because this is open-ended, like I said, with multiple uses. Why didn't I do something like this almost 25 years ago? I didn't have the skill set then. It's taken all this time. I've learned a lot in more than 20 years since I did the other ones. And this, I really believe it reflects that. This comes with 55 years of hypnosis experience, but I could not have created this 20 years ago.
55 years.
Yeah, 55 years this summer.
That is nutty.
It's nuts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now,
that's
you
true.
can, if you want to use it to power nap, that's what you did. Now, what was that like? Did you find that, and since I said you can choose your intention in advance, remember you can also permit your unconscious mind to determine the use, which is an easy way to use it. Plug it in, put on the headphones and listen, but you need the headphones for this.
Yeah, in my case, I just decided I was using it for a power nap, and I was in and out. I was just zoning in and out, and at parts I was consciously paying attention. At other parts, I could not at all. But right at the end, I came right out and felt amazing.
Well, that's good because you went through what is called a quest. Now, a quest is something that's been in the human zeitgeist forever. The idea that there is a hero's journey or a heroine's journey that is for some specific task that is very difficult to overcome with maybe a series of subtasks that lead up to it. And the classic example that I always recommend is the Odyssey. You have Odysseus, also known as Ulysses, goes on the journey, goes to fight the Trojan War, comes back. It takes him years to get back. While he's been gone, his wife Penelope is surrounded by suitors who all want to marry her, telling her that her husband's dead. And she is putting them off by knitting a shroud for his burial. And every night she undoes the knitting that she's done. So it's never completed. She's delaying. And the Odyssey is after the Trojan War, how Odysseus is making his way home again and all the things that happened to him on the way home. These are archetypal things. And I highly recommend this book to any hypnotist. The best one, I checked with my friend, professor of classics, Nirmal Das. He said the Robert Fagel's translation is the best, and he's absolutely right. But that is the grand quest. He's going on this massive journey that is epic in scope and has deep unconscious aspects and meaning to it. And another one, of course, is the Magus, which I thought you would love, and you found it weird or something.
The ending, I just did not like the ending.
Well, you must have noticed.
It was fascinating.
With the Easter eggs that are hidden in the journey to the castle.
Yeah.
There's a couple from the Magus are concealed in there, and I won't say more than that. But, and of course, the classic hero's journey is The Lord of the Rings. Still one of the best books of all time, certainly the greatest movie of all time, if you look at all three, in my opinion. Humble opinion as a brilliant frickin' guy who understands these things. But what I find interesting, I couldn't say it with a straight face. But
thank you.
Thank you, just as you were thanking me for saying that. But you think about it, Frodo, he's a hobbit. He's just this ordinary sort of guy. He's a hobbit. But he's given this task of taking the one ring that Sauron created to rule the world and has to travel through war and horror with just Samwise Gamgee, his companion, and throw this into the cracks of Mount Doom, the volcano. And it's a horrendous task, and it takes something like 13 hours of film. When it ends, you feel drained and exhausted. That is a hero's journey. And that's the sort of thing in 35 minutes that we have created. I'm saying you too, because you did the recording.
Me in that. That's nice.
Yeah,
Thank
that we have created. It's throwing a fish here.
It's MikeMandelHypnosis.com/castle. Check it out. It is completely free. The only thing we ask is for your email address.
That's it.
All right.
There is a price.
Yeah, and that's because, of course, we're going to send you a few emails that are very pleasant and educational, and you can always opt out if you don't like them. There's always an unsubscribe link on every single message we ever send you. But I think you like the stuff we send you.
Well, now that's interesting, Chris, because if people are listening to the podcast regularly, I think they will be the ones who will, apart from hypnotists, who will really appreciate the castle journey because of all the Easter eggs that are hidden in it.
This is the thing. I remember when we talked about the idea of putting in Easter eggs, and I said, Mike, if you make them some of the more ludicrous ones from the podcast, it's going to jar people out of trance.
But
they're going to start laughing. So you didn't do that. Thankfully, the ones that you included are just ones that are, when you notice them, they're going to make you smile, but not jar you out.
No, the surprise is just sufficient. Like with the magic effect, you're getting a small PGO spike.
Yeah.
Which adds to the whole effect. Now, what people have noticed when they listen to this is, and it works on me as well. People say, oh, it's so short. It's over in 5 or 6 minutes. I've had so many people say that. It's 35 minutes long. But there is a massive time distortion takes place with many, many people. I'd say most people with this.
Yes.
And amnesia, because there's things I know are in it. And I've listened to it end to end 3 times now. Probably won't for a while now, but there are things I know are in it, but I don't remember hearing them. So I'm fading in and out listening to it.
I don't even remember what you just said.
Shut up. That's because you need to work more on the ego strengthening part of this. And there is built-in ego strengthening, just stuff to make you feel better, make you a better person. One of our students said, I don't know what the hell happened. She said, but as soon as I listened to it, I went and cleaned my entire house.
That's amazing.
It's just kind of interesting.
There you go.
So if your house is filthy, this might be the solution.
Yeah, I listened to it and then I gave myself a haircut.
So anyway, give the URL one last time, Chris.
Mike Mandel, hypnosis.com/castle. That is not castle with a K, because that's not how you spell castle.
Correct.
It's Castle, in case you're not sure how to spell castle for whatever reason. There you go.
Now you give yourself a haircut.
Yeah.
Let me just see.
Oh,
here.
I've been doing that for a while.
Oh, I see what you were trying to do.
Yeah, thanks.
Someone said that to me in complete seriousness once. It was horrible.
I see what you were trying to do.
Who last cut your hair? When a barber asks that, it's just terrible. So let's talk about our friend Sean Michael Andrews.
Okay, yeah, this demarks the official jumping off point. No longer discussing the
we've
journey
already
to
done
the
that.
castle.
Now you're looking back to the castle.
Now let's talk about doing hypnosis.
Oh.
And so we have a really great friendship with Sean Michael Andrews, who we got to meet him at Hypnothoughts Live several years ago. About 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And we had heard of him. And then we got to meet him and realize he's way nicer than you could have ever imagined. I mean, you imagine a nice person.
Way nicer than you would expect.
You imagine a nice person, right? And then you meet Sean and you go, he's even nicer than that.
I know he is. He's one of those people you can only, Britt would say he's a lovely person.
But he's not just a nice guy. He's very skilled.
Highly
He's a
skilled.
great teacher. He's got some really good fine points in what he teaches. And we wanted to talk about his book.
Stay on the nice guy thing for a sec, because when we went to Hypnothoughts the first time, I fully expected him to be a dick because he called himself the world's fastest hypnotist.
Which he's hilariously quick to brand. He acknowledges it's just brand.
I know, but then when he explains it and says, all of you who do this will also be the world's best. I thought, what a brilliant thing.
Yeah.
Super nice guy. Now, having said that, Sean is trained, as you said, he's an NLP master practitioner. He studied with Richard Bandler. I think he studied with Gil Boyne.
Yeah, I think so.
He studied with
and the Ellmans.
And Larry and Cheryl Ellman, who are just, the best at the Ellmanian stuff. And did he study with Jerry Kine as well?
Oh, yeah. He mentioned in his book that he studied with Jerry Kine. He was friends with Jerry. Yeah.
Right. So that he's very, very well trained. But what's great about it is Sean brings in this elegant simplicity when he teaches. His book is very folksy, extremely approachable. It's just called Street Hypnosis, isn't it?
Yes, that's the thing I liked about it. I actually started reading it. I bought it because you told me that you bought it, and I can't let you be the only one who has it. So
right.
I immediately bought it over lunch on Amazon Prime. It showed up 2 days later.
Nice.
And I was rereading Clean Language, which is a great book, but I find it much less interesting.
It's more five-ish.
It's not story. There's no real flow to it. So I just took a break. I thought I need to put this down, but I don't want to switch topics. I want to stay on the topic of hypnosis and all that stuff. So I cracked the cover on Sean's book, and I immediately just fell in love with the writing style. And I commented on Facebook, and he says, that's because I got a great editor. Now, I didn't realize at the moment, the editor's his wife. So when you do your Mindscaping book, Mike, we've got to get Stephanie to edit that book because she's phenomenal.
She's not my wife.
No, but she's a phenomenal editor, and she's Sean's wife.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. I understand now. Here, but the thing is, it's easy to read. It's a fast read, but it's solid stuff. If if you're interested in straight hypnosis, he spells out from beginning to end everything you need to start doing this right away. He teaches suggestibility tests. He shows how to segue from those right into inductions.
Even the approach, the idea of how to get people interested, the idea of how to use the first thing you do as an attention-getting behavior so other people will stop, how to put signs out in the street, or how to just all kinds of
how to manage your audience,
yeah.
how to draw a crowd for street hypnosis.
Where is it appropriate and where is not?
Clever stuff. Like he said, if you got a camera, he said, like in a place where you're able to do hypnosis and film it, he shows how to do release forms. So it's so quick and easy, but then you put everything on YouTube. But he said, if you have a guy with a camera, he said, look for a large broadcast quality camera if you can. It draws a crowd.
Even if it's broken.
But have on the guy's back camera 2.
Yeah.
And he said, everyone's wondering where the hell camera 1 is. And he said, it just gets the wonder going. So amazingly well put together. And the thing I like is it lines up very well with MMHA teachings, the stuff we teach. I read his book and thought, I agree with Sean 99.99% of everything in that book.
Which means if I was to ask you if there's anything you don't agree with, it'll probably be so inconsequential you won't remember it.
It is. It is. He said that the word hypnosis and hypnotism came from Braid, but that's a common mythology.
Okay.
It came from Etienne Félix Denain de Cuvier.
Yeah.
Who beat Braid to the punch by over 20 years. So
yeah,
that's
but independent. So,
independent.
Yeah, independent.
Nobody knows that
that's fine.
except me. So anyway.
So he's still technically right because it did come from.
Yeah, I didn't write to him or anything. I'm just seeing a picture of me and Melissa Tears on your desktop. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's one from 2017.
We agree 100%. Sean's stuff is great because it is ecological.
Okay, so let's talk about why this book is useful for someone who does client-centered hypnosis.
No, we're getting there.
We'll get there.
You can't just jump ahead on this stuff.
All right.
It's ecological. He talks about...
Feel any happier?
Any happier? Of course you are. He talks about how to manage the crowd, like how to manage your subjects, how to keep them safe,
subjects.
How to pick them, what to do if someone starts to abreact. Like he covers the really practical stuff here. It was funny too, because he talks about the one demo he did, and you mentioned that there was a girl watching, mouth open wide, just staring.
Yeah. He talks about how you're using one subject, and while you're working with the subject, you're also scanning the audience to look for next possible subjects, and that he observed that there was this one woman who was just mouth open, staring,
gaping in the gapery.
Yeah, and I said to Mike, we call that gaping in the gapery, right?
You need an actual gapery built so the person can stand in it and gape.
Yeah.
But, and he talks about how he learned that indirectly through Richard Bandler, training with him, when Bandler was working with someone in the front row and pushed the trance through that person into Sean. And he said it really hit him. And he realized Bandler is calibrating the audience all the time, as any good hypnotist should be, and knowing where to go next and who's staring. And so that's another practical aspect.
That principle of always be calibrating comes out over and over in Sean's book. Yeah, always be calibrating.
And this, if you're a total beginner, as Chris said, it's a great book. But if you are a hypnotherapist, let's get on to that, what you were leading us to, which is a really important point.
I think it is.
Why would this be important for a hypnotherapist? I don't do street hypnosis. I'm purely a trainer now anyway. I have done street hypnosis. But
and you've done about 1 million stage hypnosis shows.
There is that,
so,
yes.
Yeah.
But why would a hypnotherapist want this book?
So you've got to remember that a lot of people who are client-centered, they're office-based hypnotists, they don't have comfort when it comes to doing demonstrations. So it's important to feel confident that if someone who you're with at a party says, oh yeah, he's a hypnotist, that you'll be called to the mat and you can execute something, you can demonstrate something, show some fun stuff to people so that they'll be interested in the idea of hypnosis without it just being a total goof-off fest, right?
Right.
The idea is show something interesting, possibly even, I know Sean talks a lot about in his book the idea that he would go to, for example, ladies' gyms and do presentations, and then he would get a lot of the women hiring him for weight loss hypnosis.
Yeah.
So if you can show a good demonstration and then tie it back to the idea of something positive. In fact, that's going to bring me to another point in a moment. I think it'll help you get clients. It'll help you be more confident. So that other point was this. A lot of the times I've noticed that anyone doing hypnosis for entertainment, they keep it purely entertainment. And that's supposedly, I guess that's fine in a stage hypnosis show where it is entertainment.
Right.
But Sean talks about, for example, some simple things like if you're working with children, always make sure their parents are present and that they are there giving permission and buy-in and all that. And he talked about a story where there was an 8-year-old boy who really wanted to experience hypnosis. The parents were fine with it. So he did hypnotize the boy, and he left the boy with a suggestion that because the boy had been such a good subject, he was obviously very smart and capable.
Yeah, nice.
Right? So you're leaving positive suggestions. So if you're doing demonstrations, always tie in some sort of positive ego strengthening suggestion, which is something that you have been teaching forever, Mike. Always throw ego strengthening into every client session.
Yeah.
So why not do it in a street hypnosis situation too?
Why not?
Right?
Igor Ledohovsky, our friend, says he calls it giving the person a gift, a hypnotic gift. And that's a great thing to do.
That's true. Igor does say that. So it's unfortunately rare that people take these impromptu entertainment type of hypnosis situations and turn them into a gift-giving opportunity. But it is a good idea, especially if you're primarily a hypnotherapist.
Well, let's look at this. That's all great stuff, Chris. And let's add to that by saying hypnotherapists who are trained in certain schools will do really slow, drawn out, boring inductions. And one of the best things you can do is get some street hypnosis skills and bang, you'll be doing much more powerful hypnosis. It will increase your confidence. It will build your self-confidence so that you'll be using different inductions. You'll be zoning people through the floor better and faster. I mean, if you really want to do good hypnosis and fast, powerful hypnosis, look no further than street hypnotists or stage hypnotists, because they're the ones who have to deal with completely impromptu situations and have developed those skill sets.
Thank you. Yes.
You're shouting at me. Freaking idiot. We'll edit that out. Now, I want to talk about the arm pull induction that he explained so well in this.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to that part of the book. I'm only about halfway through, but you said it's really great.
It's great. He teaches a hand drop induction, the arm pull induction. And these are shock inductions, so-called, because they create a PGO spike in the brain, put the critical faculty offline temporarily. And he is really good at explaining the best ways of doing this for ecology. So you don't do a hand drop induction when the person's standing, pressing on your hand, because they can fall right down.
Over,
and next thing you know, you're going to have a lawsuit. And as Sean points out so well, even if you're innocent, you still have to pay the legal cost to fight something.
Yeah.
So he said, just avoid the problems, which is kind of nice. Now, the arm pull induction is where you're doing some sort of lead in. You might have done a suggestibility test, whatever. You have the person's hand or wrist. The hand is always around the back of their neck. And
your hand.
And he goes through it again, the testing to make sure there's no injury. So he's saying neck, shoulder, elbow, wrist. And he says news, but it's actually, obviously north, south, east, west.
Yes, that's right.
In order.
Both, yeah.
And he makes sure there's no problem. If that's the case.
Let's make sure that's clear for those who are not familiar with street hypnosis.
Carry on.
We're asking the subject that we're working with if they have any problems with their neck, with their elbow, with their wrist, or with their shoulder. Because we do not want to be yanking on their arm or anything. Well, it's not really yanking, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
You do not want to be manipulating those parts of the body in any way, even if it's gentle, if they have any kind of extreme pain, chronic pain, injury, anything like that.
You don't want to make it worse. And so what's interesting about it is when he's tugging their arm forward suddenly, saying sleep, getting them on the offbeat, it's perfectly done because you're creating that spike. That's what makes it work. You don't have to haul their arm. It's the shock of it that makes it work.
Yeah, it's the
They
jolt.
go into trance. Now, the two best ways I've heard this explained are Sean Michael Andrews and Anthony Jacquin. And that's another book we're going to mention at the tail end of all this. What Sean says is he puts his left hand around the back of the person's neck. Now, some people you'll see on YouTube, it's horrendous what they do. They haul the person's neck forward. Like yank their neck. And I said, I've got a bad neck. I've got something called facet syndrome because of a sadistic teacher when I was 14 or 14. Anyway, permanent neck problems for over 50 years. If you grab my neck and haul it like that, when I get out of the hospital, I will frickin' put you there. So you've got to be careful of people's neck. What Sean says that is brilliant is he said the only reason that hand goes around the back of the neck is to stop a whiplash effect when you pull the wrist. You're not hauling the person by their neck at all.
It's a gentle tap, if anything, at the occiput.
Which is how Anthony Jacquin does it. He taps with his middle finger right where the occiput meets the neck.
Yeah.
So that's another way. He's just tapping there where Sean supports the neck, pulls the hand. He doesn't haul the neck.
Bottom line, any good street hypnotist doing these inductions is not hauling on the neck.
Right, exactly. Ecology
Keep
first
people
again.
safe.
So Chris and I, in closing this point, we think Sean's book on street hypnosis is a definite one for any hypnotist to buy. We recommend it. He's our friend. He's a great guy. He's written a really good book. And we recommend that if you're serious about street hypnosis or entertainment hypnosis, you pair this with Reality is Plastic, our friend Anthony Jacquin's book. Yes. Those two together, you've got a great combo. You can read them over a weekend and start doing some awesome street hypnosis.
Fantastic. And for the record, since we just mentioned Anthony's book, Reality is Plastic, that one is also available and read by him, narrated by him on audible.com.
Nice.
So you can get the audiobook if you prefer.
So Chris, why don't you give us the empowering questions for today?
All right. And remember, MikeMandelHypnosis.com/castle. You're going to love it. Go into the castle. All right. Ask yourself, if all of life is a grand quest, what will I do to ensure I properly play the role I've been given? And how will I live my own Odyssey with power and authenticity to make the fulfillment of my own quest certain to occur? And really, I mean really, count.
Nice. Well done there, young man. Chris, I want to tell you a metaphor, actually a meta 5, because ours are one better, I've never told before. And when I was a kid, my parents used to take us camping every weekend. It was something we could not escape. We were forced to go camping. My parents loved it, and they'd be stopping every 10 minutes to make tea at the side of the road with a Coleman stove, being English. And I remember the morning, it'd be Saturday morning, we'd be gone, and we'd come back Sunday night and go to one of these various provincial parks for a camping trip, often with the rest of the family showing up there, cousins, aunts, and uncles, and so on. Saturday morning, my parents would be bumping into each other, and my mom would say, "Are you ready? Are you ready?" My dad would say, "I'm ready when you are." And she'd say, "Well, I'm ready when you are." And they go off into two different rooms again. And 10 minutes later, they bump into each other. "Well, are you ready? I'm ready when you are. I'm ready when you are." They'd leave again. Finally, I'd yell, "Let's just go." And we'd leave. We'd get to the campground. And when I was 7 years old, we went to a campsite called the Pinery up near Lake Huron. It must have been on Lake Huron, way, way up, I think, north of Windsor. And we had driven there from Prince Edward Island on a protracted camping trip. And I was 7. And I remember I had a little bit of money. My dad had given me a couple of bucks. And in the camp store, I bought a rubber snake. Oh. It was about 14 inches long. It had red eyes. One of those that when you put it down, it curls into a coil. So when you straighten it out, by just shifting your hands a bit, it'll twist in your hands and look like it's alive. Yeah. Horrendously so. It had a small rattling tail. Of course, made it far more frightening. And I entertained myself for an entire weekend playing a game called I Don't Want It. What I did was I would walk around the campground holding this thing until I saw a bunch of kids. And kids say, "Hey, look, he's got a snake." So they'd come over and I'd have it twisting in my hands. And I'd say, "It's got a rattle on it. You don't think it's a rattlesnake, do you?" And they go, "Yeah, they're poisonous." And I'd say, "I'm afraid to put it down. It tried to bite me. Here, you take it." And they go, "No, no." And I'd run after them going, "Take it. I don't want it. I don't want it," running behind them with a rattlesnake in my hands. It was the most entertaining weekend of my life. God knows how many kids I traumatized.
Oh, thanks everybody for listening to episode 158 of our crazy, zany, fun brain software podcast coming to you from Toronto, Canada. I'm Chris Thompson, and this is Mike Mandel. And make sure you head on over to MikeMandelHypnosis.com/castle. And if you are interested in our online flagship hypnosis training, just go to our homepage at MikeMandelHypnosis.com and you can sign up for a free trial to the Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy. And it's awesome. All right. You can do both too, the castle and the academy, and just be totally, totally awesome as a hypnotist. That's right. I'll stop talking now. And good night.
Mr. Thompson. When the war ended in 1918, did I ever tell you about the song I'd written?
No.
The war ended, and it had been just a terrible thing. Trenches full of bodies, a lot of trench foot, brown paper and vinegar everywhere. And I just thought I should write something. As I was heading back to England, I was on a ship crossing the Straits of Dover in sight. And I took a piece of music by Dvorak, and I put lyrics to it. It's become rather popular since. It goes like this. I call it coming home. Coming home, coming home, at the end of war. Friends are gone, all are dead. How I miss the war. How I miss the war. How I loved the war.
Brown paper and vinegar for the win!